Why can't you trust a burrito?
Why can't you trust a burrito? Why?
It might spill the beans.
Oh, yeah.
Hungry Squared, bringing you the best food talk anywhere.
Welcome to the Hungry Squared podcast where the brain and belly meet. I'm Sharon from the Wasatch Cooking Guide.
And I'm Winter from theredparty.com. This week, we're talking about tacos.
Let's talk about it. Tacos. Get it?
Yeah.
Let us talk
about it.
Hungry Squared.
Sharon, how are you doing, friend?
Good.
Yeah?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Anything happened this week that was fun?
I ate a lot of good food.
Really?
I did some good meal planning.
Oh, so you made a lot of good food.
Yeah.
And ate a lot of good food. So what stood out?
The smoked chicken wings that we had.
What?
Yeah. Ike filled our entire big green egg surface.
You guys, that's a lot. I just want to point out that is a fairly large surface.
Yeah, because we have a large egg.
Mm-hmm.
So he filled the entire big green egg surface. Some got a little crispy.
It's fine.
But it was actually, they were really good and he would have liked them a lot. But he smoked a whole bunch of chicken wings and that only took like 2 hours.
Oh, that's not bad. And so tell me, rub on them?
Yeah, he did do his own rub.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he even wrote it down what was in it, but he created his own rub and it was super good, but it was pretty spicy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so then we had honey mustard sauce, a buffalo sauce, and barbecue sauce with them, like for dipping and slathering.
Oh, yeah. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Smoked chicken wings. Why have we not done? Well, we've done some chicken, but we've never done wings before.
Oh, the wings are so easy too.
And they're cheaper. Like when you buy wings, they are inexpensive.
Yeah. So I don't know. We probably spent like $20 to fill the whole big green egg.
That's pretty good. Because when you go to a restaurant, you get 6 to 8 wings for $10.
We had wings all week.
Woohoo!
There was lots of leftovers and the boys loved them. They were really good, of course, because they love wings.
They love wings.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But spicy, and they were okay with the spicy even.
The boys really love spice.
Oh.
I don't as much.
Mm-hmm.
Because it gives me heartburn and I get so uncomfortable. I like the taste, but oof.
The after effects.
Yeah, it's bad. And Ike's kind of the same. He's more towards the spicy side, but
okay.
Yeah, it gets to him sometimes.
I'm going to have to try that.
Yeah, they were super cheap, super easy, super good.
Okay, I call that a win. Call that a win.
What did you eat this week?
We ate Korean food.
Yummy.
Well, so we went out with some friends this week. This last weekend, we went to the gymnastics meet here at the University of Utah. Go Red Rocks.
They did well.
They did well, and it was so fun. And we brought our kids and stuff. It was just a lot of fun. And then it got over at like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. They're like, we should go for an early dinner. And so we headed out kind of far from us out in Sandy. It's called Grill and Barbecue and Grill.
Okay.
So apparently the dad, our friends, this is Jamie and Ryan, are our friends, and her parents know the owners, and it's a dad, and he really wanted to open up a restaurant that was very Korean, and his son wanted to open the restaurant, but have it be American. So they compromised and kind of made this Korean American fusion something or another.
Okay.
And so I ordered these, they call them K noodles. So it's kind of like noodles with bulgogi. I asked for bulgogi, which is the Korean, the delicious, like sweet Korean barbecue.
Yeah.
And then it has that hot, spicy chili sauce. I actually think it was sriracha that was on top of it, and then vegetables that were grilled. But the thing that was really odd and really satisfying and good was that along with these noodles, which kind of seems very Korean, like the way it was presented and the flavors and everything, had cheese in it, like melted cheese.
What kind of cheese?
I don't know, but it was like so good. I think that was their way of doing the American version of that, and it was really good.
That sounds about right. Put cheese on anything.
It was delicious, and you could do that on like You could do a rice bowl type of a thing too. They had sandwiches. They had burgers that were Americanized, but then they had kind of a fusion burger that could be Korean flavored. But man, their kimchi was so tasty there. It wasn't hot. It was just really sweet. And it was just really excellent.
Yum.
Yeah. Excellent, yummy food. And it was like, put me in the perfect mood for the Olympics, you guys. We're starting to watch the Olympics and that's super fun.
In South Korea.
Yeah. So I love the Olympics. And so, yeah, I was like, yeah, let's do this Korean food thing.
Yeah. And I like that both Korean delegations showed up together.
Yeah, that was good. I think, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
They probably still hate each other, but you never know.
Unification can, at least in the Olympics, can be a really good thing.
Yeah.
And now for the main course.
Okay, let's get down to our first topic at hand, and that is tacos.
Tacos. Well,
Winter, why are we talking about tacos?
We are talking about tacos because our friends Leslie and Aaron Galvan,
hi,
from the So This Is Love podcast. If you guys haven't checked out their podcast, they started texting me at one point in time because they went to a restaurant that had these amazing tacos, and they said they ordered every single type of taco, I think except for one on the list of tacos. It was a new restaurant to them.
Well, that's why now I want to know what taco they didn't order.
I'm trying to think of which one it was, but they showed me the menu and they said we ordered all of them so we could try all of them.
Nice.
And and they're like, you need to do an episode on tacos. And so I'm like, oh yeah, we should get on that. And then they sent me another email just not too long, probably a month ago. It says, I'm still waiting for the taco episode. So I think it's time we do the taco episode.
I think so too.
Because our little logo or motto is let's taco about it.
Right.
I mean, we have t-shirts with tacos on them.
And a t-shirt with the nacho on it.
That's true. Okay, so tacos. Let's talk about tacos. Where did they come from?
Mexico.
Kind of.
Kind of. Well,
I
it
know.
depends on what type of taco you're talking about.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's get into it then.
So the corn tortilla has been around for centuries.
Forever.
Millennia, possibly. It's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. So to say like when the taco was first invented is a little bit difficult.
Right.
Because of that. People typically use the corn tortilla ages ago as like a side or to scoop, kind of like as a utensil for food. To say like when they first started just putting food in it exclusively, I don't really know. It was hard to find. But there's lots of different types of tacos out there, and there's lots of different taco stories that I found that were really fun.
There are a lot of taco stories.
Yeah. And how in modern time, the taco was first brought to the U.S. around 1905, somewhere in there, by some ladies called the Chili Queens.
The Chili Queens.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
So they were women from Mexico who came to two cities in the United States. They came to San Antonio around the Alamo.
Okay.
That was like the late 1800s when they were there, and to Los Angeles. And they had like tamales and push carts in LA and stuff like that. And they were called Chili Queens. People would go to them for street food. Most often it was like chili con carne and stuff like that. But they had tamales and tacos and other
just various street foods that were Mexican,
right,
in origin.
Yeah, really good food, and the food was seen as very exotic, especially like at the Alamo. Tourists would come there once the railroad was kind of going and stuff. So tourists would go there. People who
see the Alamo and get a taco. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
People who were getting off of work and stuff. And the Chili Queens, mostly like their stalls that they set up and carts that they had were out in the evening. So people would stop for a quick bite to eat after work.
Something to tie them
like
over.
Yeah. They kind of fed a lot of different types of people. So the food was viewed as very exotic and kind of dangerous because it's really spicy. Some of it was. And so it was viewed as this novelty. You know, if you can take the spicy food, that was like, almost like a dare, and it's kind of like a badge of honor. But they got quite the reputation for really good food. The chili queens, though, were also themselves, they were romanticized in the press as being exotic Spanish women with sable hair and fiery tempers, and they became the stuff of tourist legend.
Like people would seek them out?
Yeah, they were widely thought as quote unquote available.
Oh,
in that way.
Oh.
So I'm sure there is a darker side to the chili queens that I didn't really go into, but you could, but I didn't really feel like this was the place to do that.
Yeah.
But they also, in the 30s, there was a popular musician. She was known as the Queen of Tejano music. Her name is Lydia Mendoza. And she began her legendary singing career in the plazas in downtown San Antonio with the Chili Queens.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they would sing together. And it was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
So it was kind of this whole cultural thing that you would go and see them and get food and be entertained and things like that.
That is San Antonio, huh?
Yeah.
And you mentioned Los Angeles too.
So they had the chili queens in LA were more in the 1900s. They had push carts and things, and they weren't there just in the evenings. In San Antonio around the Alamo, they were mostly just there in the evening. But in Los Angeles, it was kind of a daily street food type thing that they would sell all day. They mostly had tamales there, but they had some type of tacos as well.
Okay.
So yeah.
That is interesting. The Chili Queens, who knew? And then somebody's music career kind of got launched because of it.
Yeah.
Like
from bringing Mexican food to the United States.
Right. That is very interesting. Can we move to the taco itself? I'm going to move to something that I was very interested in was the taco shell.
Yes.
Because you mentioned tacos usually are these corn tortillas, right? And I was like, who invented the taco shell? You know, the hard taco shell that's in a U-shaped, that's really yellow.
Yep.
Who invented that? You know, there's got to be somebody that had invented that.
Well, I came across some different patents, just some mentions of patents, not the actual patents themselves. But I know that there's somebody who claims to have invented it who actually didn't.
Yes. And we're going to talk a little bit about that particular thing because as the taco moved into the American culture, there was Mexican immigrants or, you know, people that had just moved from southern from Mexico up into America. They brought their food with them, like you said, chili queens and families that were living in California and Texas and that type of thing. And so I kind of asked this question to a friend who had lived in Argentina, I believe. And he's like, no, winter, because I was like, it had to be an American that was like, I'm going to invent this taco shell thing and it's going to be convenient and stuff. And he's like, no, because there are things in the Mexican or Hispanic cultures that are fried tortillas, right? Already. And so I was like, okay, well, let's look into this a little bit more. And you are right, because I kind of, there's kind of this been a little bit of claim by a person named Glenn Bell. And if you are familiar with the American taco chain, Taco Bell, this is the Glenn Bell of that chain. He wrote in his biography that he invented that crispy taco shell shape.
But he didn't.
But he did not, you guys. So we're going to get into that a little bit. There have been people that have written about this particular kind of the background of this. I'm going to point out a couple of books that I'm using as a reference. So Pilcher, like the last name of Pilcher, Jeffrey Pilcher, wrote Planet Taco, A Global History of Mexican Food. Mr. Bell talks about how he invented it, but there was back in the 30s, I believe there was the first recipe for the taco in 1934. A cookbook was published called Genuine Mexican and Spanish Cookery, Recipes for American Homes. And this is and this was by Myrtle Richardson. Doesn't that sound
Myrtle?
Yes, exactly. So it says tacos, prize dish. Don't fail to try this recipe. They are delicious.
Is that what it says?
It does say that. Yeah. And it says, okay, so there's tortillas, hamburgers, grated cheese, onion, lettuce, red chili sauce. And I'm going to read the instructions and you tell me if this sounds like a taco to you. Cook hamburger until dry. Put spoonful in center of tortilla. Fold and pin with toothpick. Fry in hot fat until crisp. Drain, then open and add small amount of onion, cheese, and spoonful chili sauce and fill with lettuce.
Okay.
That kind of sounds more like an empanada or, I don't know, a flauta.
Sure.
A
like
taquito.
A taquito or something.
Because they put the meat in. I kind of see where they're coming from.
They put the meat in and then they fry it. So
yeah, that's why I'm like, it's not exactly how the taco has come from. But like,
don't fail to try this recipe. It will give you a heart attack.
There was this recipe about this particular taco, quote unquote taco recipe. I'm going to state though that there was a patent actually filed. There were 2 patents that were filed that I want to chat about. So the first patent for a tortilla frying device was in 1950 by Juvencio Maldonado. And
it's a tortilla frying device?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's not even for taco shells, it's for frying tortillas. So I mean, I make the implication that people were frying tortilla shells, but it was causing quite a bit of time and energy and was dangerous to the people that were actually frying them up.
Yeah.
And so he was an electrician and he opened up a restaurant in Midtown Manhattan in 1938. And it was a big hit. But once again, he kind of made a note that it was very hard for them to fry these shells, these tortillas. And so he created this thing with some molds and everything. It's quite, I'll put a link in the show notes of the actual patent, but it's quite extensive.
Wow. Okay.
And there's no record of if they actually ever used it in his restaurant in Midtown Manhattan. But the one that I found very interesting was a second patent for a tortilla frying device, and it was issued to Joseph Pompa of Glendale, Arizona. And he was, this was actually, I thought, a very interesting story. It was published through the U.S. World and News, but through Deseret News, our Deseret News of all.
Oh, in Utah.
Yeah, okay. Exactly, in Utah. And basically what happened was that when this kid grew up in Pierce, Arizona, his father abandoned the family. And so when he was a boy, his mother raised the family with help from her sisters. And his aunts were kind of making fun, like, hey, we're helping you get, helping your mom make ends meet and stuff like that. So he got mad. He's like, I'm never going to depend on anyone again. So he quit school. Wow. He left for Prescott, got a job at the railroad. Then he worked in the mines. And it was just really dirty work. And then he finally started going to correspondence school for electrical engineering. And it was kind of one of those things where his wife was like, come on, you're spending so much money on this. And finally he got his degree. And then he got a job in air research with Goodyear.
That's pretty impressive.
He worked his way up and he didn't want to depend on anyone anymore. So other than that, he went and invested in real estate. He started side businesses. He had a bar. And then he had a Mexican restaurant in Glendale, downtown Glendale, Arizona. And he put his wife in charge. And that it's nicknamed after her. It was La Perla. And so they started with a really simple menu, enchiladas, burritos, tacos, tostadas, and that type of thing. The problem is those tortillas, like if an employee had to like fry the tortillas to create kind of a shell in the oil, it was really hard because you had to fry them by hand. Mm-hmm. You had to hold it in position and wait till they hardened and got crisp. But he's like, it could hurt the employee if some of that oil spattered. It just took a long time. And so he actually started tinkering around with like a little gadget with his son Butch, and they created something that looks a little bit more like something that would do quite a bit of frying so that you could have bulk tortilla shells ready to go to make tacos.
More than just one at a time.
Yeah. The other one, you could do more than one at a time, but there was no record that it was actually used. He used it in his restaurant. And I think that's pretty cool that he got that. He applied for it, I think, in 1947 and was issued it in 1951, if I'm not mistaken. And like I said, even though Glenn Bell said that he invented the taco shell, he did not. Somebody or other people, other restaurateurs. This gentleman, the 2 gentlemen that I mentioned earlier, had already filed for patents to fry taco shells kind of in bulk and so that it would be readily available. Now, I'm not totally discounting Glenn Bell, though. what he brought to the table was the American spirit of franchising.
Yes.
Because think about it. He brought this kind of bulk. He wanted to do basically what McDonald's did with hamburgers. He wanted to do it with tacos. And that's what he did. It was pretty impressive that he just kind of borrowed all the ideas from his Mexican neighbors. He didn't invent the taco. He didn't invent any of these things.
He just figured out a way to get it to the masses.
Yep. And Jeffrey Pilcher, this gentleman who wrote this book, he talked about how you would never find a Taco Bell ever in a Mexican neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Never, ever. It was always in other neighborhoods that this was their way of getting something that was different and exotic and exciting, right?
But it was also Americanized
yes,
too.
Yes.
It wasn't really what Mexican people were eating.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
As their, food from their native land or anything like that.
Exactly. Kind of same thing. I mean, the nice thing about the way he did it was that corn tortillas, once you fry them up, you can kind of keep those a little bit longer, and so it just
you can store them.
It just lent for being franchised and being these little stores where you could get exotic tacos from Mexico. Not really, but do you know what I'm saying? Like it was just very interesting that he claimed that, but that's not necessarily the case. So yeah, that was really fun. And like Taco Bell has really done a lot to change the taco. Mm-hmm. As you know, I mean, they have a Dorito taco shell. They have the
Crunchwrap Gorditas.
The Crunchwrap Gorditas.
What the heck is that?
Okay, this one was very interesting because I
chalupa.
I fell into a Reddit hole, rabbit hole, and there was a discussion actually about what is the best taco shape, the taco shell shape to get the most out of it, has the optimal structural integrity and eatability and true load in comparison to it was really funny and interesting. And people just kept talking about, different things. And, they talked about Taco Bells. They have one where you have the crunchy outside and then there's a layer of like refried beans. Mm-hmm. And then they put a soft tortilla on the inside. Mm-hmm. And so you kind of get some structure from the soft tortilla. I mean, kind of holds everything together, but then so does the mortar of the refried beans. Like it was really interesting. If you're really into the architecture of a taco shell, that's very interesting. I would love to hear your thoughts on that. If you ever get bored, type in taco shell patent and you will come upon a bazillion taco shell patents.
Really?
Ones that are square shaped on the bottom so they stand up. Ones that are conical. There's one that I saw that had a little tail at the one side so you wouldn't have things fall out when you were eating it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, people take their tacos seriously. So seriously that they file for patents, which I think is kind of funny. So, okay, can I talk about a couple last things that I thought was very interesting? Another person that was very influential in bringing tacos to America or making it kind of hit mainstream American cuisine. In the late 19th century, the dish of choice at the time was chili con carne, not the taco. Mm-hmm. And you probably read a little bit about that. Because in Mexico, there's dried chili peppers and they always have to be, they're part of the cuisine, but they're sold whole. They have to be toasted and rehydrated, or you have to really do something, manipulate those chilies in order to put it into the flavoring and seasoning of the dish. Now, the thing that made it really a big deal for American cuisine is that somebody invented something called chili powder. So it was a prepared chili powder that you could put into your taco meat and have the seasoning, and you could buy it at the store. You didn't have to go to Mexico. It was readily available. And the inventor of this was first sold in 1894 by a gentleman. He was a German Texan.
Okay.
Named Willie Gephardt. And it's interesting. He said, somebody's commented that what people don't seem to appreciate is that getting ingredients back then was not as easy as it is today. So the fact that he was able to find the chili peppers and then stockpile them, take care of them, put them in the meat grinder, pulverize them, and then start selling them so people could make Mexican food on their own was a big deal. So that kind of had a big part in bringing Mexican, quote unquote, Mexican cuisine into the American forefront. So Americanized Mexican food, I guess, is a good way to put it. So yeah, another person that was very instrumental. So that's the shell and a little bit about the seasoning. So we haven't really talked about the stuff that goes inside.
Yeah. So the fillings. One of my favorite places to get tacos here in Salt Lake City is Taqueria 27. I wouldn't say it's necessarily hugely authentic. There's this one place by my work that is. I don't know how to pronounce it though. And the whole menu's in Spanish, but they speak English and they're really nice. So you just kind of out. They'll help you out. And they have lots of pictures. I just don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
But, just to kind of like, and that's more of a lunch place though.
Yeah.
That I've gone with coworkers and stuff. But like sit down, get some food with the family or whatever. Taqueria 27's great.
I love their guacamole of the day.
Yeah. They call it the GOD.
Yep.
For short. And they put lots of different things in their different guacamoles of the day.
They get pretty creative. It's yummy.
I've had it with mango and watermelon and other things like that in there. But their tacos, they have a lot of different types of like barbacoa, which is usually barbacoa is known. It started off in the Caribbean, but went to Mexico and stayed there for a while and then made its way to the United States. And that is where the word barbecue actually comes from. But barbacoa meat is usually high in fat and high in flavor.
Because of the fat.
Yeah, it's good. But you can get different like cheek,
cheek of the cow, maybe the pig.
Yeah. A lot of barbacoa is made with the heads of cow and pork because of the high fat content in the places like the cheek. But you can get that at Taqueria 27. You can also get steak and mashed potatoes in your taco.
I know it's interesting to see, like, because back in the day, like the things that were put into, because the taco stuff that we put into like regular hard shell tacos is ground beef, lettuce, tomatoes, maybe some sour cream,
right?
Cheese.
Yeah. And in Mexico, it was not ground beef. It was usually like offal or offal, I think is how you pronounce it. Sometimes, and depending on the region, it would be like goat meat or possibly lamb, lots of times pork, that kind of thing.
Really quickly, can we clarify that offal or offal, or I'm not totally sure how to say it, is usually entrails and internal organs of animals used for food.
Right.
Okay.
And so we kind of substituted that with the ground meat.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So Tacos Al Pastore is a really popular taco. Those originated from some Lebanese immigrants to Mexico.
Really?
Yeah. It kind of is based on shawarma.
Oh, I love shawarma.
But what the people of Mexico did, especially around Mexico City, was that they substituted the lamb and that's what Al Pastor means. It means in the style of the shepherd. Oh. And so the Lebanese had this spit roasted lamb, right? And so Mexican shepherds kind of adapted the style of the spit roasting lamb, but they would use pork instead. And they would usually put pineapple and onion on it. And nobody knows where the pineapple part came from.
Really?
But onions and cilantro were always in Tacos Al Pastor, and they would put onions on the end of the spit and kind of slice it off of there. And like, so the outside would get really caramelized. And then as you slice it more, it cooks more and things like that.
That's kind of the basis of a shawarma. Yeah. It's kind of this thing on a spit.
But pineapple came to be involved with it to give it a little bit of a sweetness. And nobody really knows where the pineapple came from, which is kind of funny. There's a lot of different stories out there, but they're more just kind of like folklore. And there's no definitive, this is where the pineapple came from in Tacos Al Pastor.
It just happens to has shown up. That's so weird. But I kind of like the sweet salty.
Yeah, you definitely get the sweet salty. It's really good. Another favorite taco filling, and I think we've talked about this a little bit on the podcast before, is the fish taco. I don't know, maybe not everybody's had a fish taco or knows what a fish taco is. When you talk about putting fish in a taco at first, it might sound a little bit weird, The fish taco is as essential to the city of San Diego as you could say the cheesesteak is to Philadelphia.
To San Diego, really?
Mhm. Yeah.
Why?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
Why?
Winter. That is due to a man named Ralph Rubio.
Ralph Rubio. Oh.
Yes.
Oh, okay. See, I think I know where you're going.
You know where we're going.
I think
with
I know where
this.
you're going with this.
So Ralph Rubio is the mastermind behind Rubio's Taco Chain.
Yeah.
It's a fish taco chain. It's based in California, and it's mostly just out here in the West.
Yeah.
California,
We
Nevada,
have it in
Utah, Arizona, and I think like Oregon or somewhere. Anyway, in the 70s, he and his friends at San Diego State University would go across the border during spring break in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And they would go to Baja, California, which is actually Mexico, the peninsula. And Baja is known for a lot of seafood dishes.
Yeah.
Because pretty much anywhere there, you're at least 50 miles or less from the ocean.
From the ocean.
And so there's a lot of regional seafood-based fare there. And there's 2 cities in Baja who claim to be the home of the fish taco, to be the originator. And one is Ensenada, and the other is San Felipe. And Ralph Rubio, actually, he claims that San Felipe is the start of the fish taco. And that is where he and his friends used to go. And they would go surfing and eat fish tacos. And they got to be friends with a vendor, a fish taco vendor. So he had like a cart, like a taco cart kind of thing there. And his name was Carlos. And Ralph tried to convince Carlos to move to San Diego and open a restaurant because his fish tacos were that good.
And he's like, we need this in San Diego.
Yeah. And the fish taco is basically fried fish put in a double corn tortilla with some cabbage and pico de gallo and a bit of a cream sauce.
Yeah.
It's usually like an avocado cream sauce or buttermilk type of a thing. And Ralph and his friends really loved it. They would go back and see Carlos all the time. And then Carlos never wanted to leave. And so Ralph eventually got the idea, well, I need to get this guy's recipe if he's not going to leave. And so he got a recipe from Carlos, and it wasn't exact because it didn't have measurements, but he kind of knew what the ratios were.
Okay.
And
he knew what the flavor was that he was looking for.
And so Ralph went back to San Diego, and in 1982, he opened Rubio's. He opened his own fish taco shack.
That's
in
awesome.
San Diego.
I had no idea.
And he went back. It was a smashing success. He went back to Baja to find Carlos and give him kind of a cut, give him some money.
Yeah.
And he couldn't find him.
Oh.
He had gone.
Dang it.
Yeah. Super sad.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Because he was the inspiration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he and his friends started going there in 1974. And so by the early 80s, Ralph had opened Rubio's. And now there are many hundreds, probably, or close to that, Rubio's taco shacks, stores, restaurants around, and they're super good. And they've got Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday. And you know what?
That's
actually,
good.
the first time I had fish taco was at Rubio's.
Was it?
From my sister. She brought it over one time when I wasn't feeling great. I was like, what is this? This is amazing.
They're super good.
It was tasty. There's another place in Sandy called the Lone Star Taqueria. Have you been there before? For their fish
I used
tacos?
to live down the street from there.
Oh, man.
We would eat them all the time.
Yeah. My friend Melanie actually introduced me to that place. We went for just to go grab some lunch, and I was like, what is this? This is awesome. It was yummy. So
they have super good nachos there too.
Yeah. And they usually do catch of the day for whatever the fish is. So who knows? Catch of the day, quote unquote. I'm winking because we're a landlocked state, everybody. Sometimes it's trout. I feel like.
Well, we have lots of trout in Utah.
Yeah, we do. So that's fine.
Yeah. That's a fun place. Yeah. So fish tacos.
That's so interesting. I didn't know that.
So the way that we know fish tacos now was basically started in the 80s by Ralph Rubio.
But very inspired by this gentleman named Carlos in, what was the?
San Felipe.
San Felipe.
Yep.
I think it's funny. He's like, no, this is the place it started, not this other town that claims to be the beginning of the fish taco. And it's like, because he went there. So he's going to claim that.
Yeah. Ralph actually opened a Rubio's in San Felipe.
Really?
Really close to where Carlos's old taco stand was.
Oh.
So kind of like a tribute.
Yeah.
Yeah. But fish tacos have gotten healthier over the years. So the original fish taco was fried, and some people are doing like a grilled fish taco. And those are still good, but a lot of people kind of think that it loses the soul, the heart and soul of the original intent behind the fish taco.
Yeah.
So,
because there's something nice about the soft tortilla
and
with the little crunch of the fried fish. It's so good. Yay. Okay. I totally love that story.
Yeah. So Tacos Al Pastore, we've got barbacoa, we've got fish tacos, and filling options for your tacos are really endless.
They are.
I've had duck confit tacos. Fancy.
That was at Taqueria 27, right? I feel like they had some there.
I've had some other fancy tacos. I think I've had salmon tacos and lobster tacos and lots of different iterations of the taco. What's your favorite way to have a taco?
I will tell you this, even though I talk so much and I was so fascinated with the taco shell, I do not like the hard taco shell.
Oh, you don't?
I like the soft, either corn or the flour. I don't care. Both are good. I'm starting to like the corn one a ton more. I just never grew up eating it as much. And then I love carne asada, you guys. I'm carne asada with some cabbage and some radishes on top and a little hot sauce. Oh man, hits the spot. It's so good.
That was the first street type of taco that I had.
Yeah.
Was a carne asada taco. I didn't talk about carne asada because it's not necessarily taco. I mean, because you can, mostly carne asada is served as itself.
Yeah, you can.
Just by itself.
And it can be in many dishes and yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the first street taco I'd ever had was carne asada. It was yummy.
I feel like Mexican food, has changed considerably. Like a lot of international food, like Chinese food is crazy different than what you would actually get in China. So Mexican food, Italian food is very,
because we're American.
Yeah, we
like it a lot blander.
We're just very different. We just change it to what we need. So, but that's not to say that doesn't happen in other countries. It was funny because when I was in China one time, my sister and I decided to go to the KFC there.
Oh, how was that?
And they had, you know how they have like mac salad or coleslaw or something like that? I think they had it was like a mac salad instead. So we got a side of mac salad.
The macaroni
salad. Is that what it was? There was corn in it, and that was a little surprising. And then a couple of other things that started to show up was like when I went to a breakfast buffet at a restaurant, there was like corn in a lot of things, like on pizzas, and they just thought the Americans love the corn.
Like corn.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that that's the way it is, but things change to suit the taste of the locals. And that's what we've done with Mexican food.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
It totally has happened that way. Sorry about that, because Mexican food's dang good.
It's really good.
That was fun. That was an interesting topic. We hope you enjoyed it.
Okay, Leslie and Aaron, tell us about the tacos that you're making at home.
Yeah.
And if we
Hungry
missed Squared listeners, let us know what your favorite tacos are.
Yeah, it's good, fun, and tasty too.
Let's have a food fight.
Food fight, food fight, food fight, food fight.
This is a segment where you can email us with your relationship questions relating to food. You can email us at hungrysquared@gmail.com.
Disclaimer, we are in no way professional relationship experts, but you should totally listen to us anyway. If you need professional help, please seek it out.
Food fight, food fight, food fight. The food fight segment of the show. Here we go.
Sharon?
Yeah.
You have this week's question?
I do.
Okay, let's hear it.
Dear Hungry Squared, my partner is picky about table seating in restaurants. She always rejects the first table we are offered once we walk there with the hostess. This is very embarrassing and I just don't understand. We spent a lot of time going back and forth to decide which restaurant we're going to eat at, and suddenly she has a thing about tables. What can I do to help her get over this? Thanks. Still waiting for a table.
Oh, ugh. Sharon?
Weird thing about tables.
Well, I kind of get it, but I'm not one of those people that will, if I don't love the table, I'm not going to complain about it. I was brought up to not
complain,
and just be okay with what you've been given. I should probably change that a little bit about myself, but I don't know. Have you ever asked for a new table?
Yep. I'm just going to put that out there.
Why?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So I'm curious. What were the reasonings?
Ike and I really go together well. I'll just put this out there right now. So we both have a table thing.
Oh, you do?
We do.
Okay.
So I have back problems so I have sciatica due to some other things. And when I sit at those bistro height or pub height
They're
tables,
kind of taller chairs. Mm-hmm.
The taller table with the taller chair, it sometimes kind of depends on the day or whatever, but sometimes can be quite painful because your legs hang off.
Yeah, they're just dangling most of the time. I mean, I guess you can prop them up on they usually have a bar or something.
That bar usually doesn't help me that much.
Oh, okay.
If there's a platform connected to the chair somehow, you see that a lot at like bars and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. But those higher stool type tables are
not awesome for you.
Ike is a Iraq war vet, and he has PTSD, and it's fine. It's under control, and he's good. But he really likes being in a booth instead of in the middle of the restaurant where the tables are. He likes being to the side. He does like seeing the door. That's pretty common for a lot of, military and other like policemen and stuff like that.
Right.
They just like to have their eye on the door.
Yeah.
So I usually, when we eat together, the two of us, I know which seat is mine, depending on
what they see
position in the restaurant. Yeah. So he doesn't like to have his back towards like a main thoroughfare. He just doesn't like people walking behind him.
Right.
And not being able to see. He's worked in a restaurant a lot. And so he's used to, if somebody is behind you, they say behind, that kind of thing.
So it's also maneuverability. That's what usually cooks. It seems like they know how to.
He likes to just know that he's not in anybody's way. Nobody's in his way.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we have had that before, but I will say, still waiting for a table. We know each other's thing. And so if a hostess or a host at a restaurant seats us somewhere, we both know whether or not the other person,
going to be acceptable.
Well, if that will work for them.
Okay.
So I would say if this is a sudden thing, you should find out what's going on. Maybe she has a thing with her leg and the table is uncomfortable, or she's got restless leg syndrome. I don't know. Maybe she wants something quieter.
Yeah, because there's definitely times when you're like, I just need to be chill. Like, I don't want to be in the front of the restaurant where it's hustling and bustling.
Yeah.
Because there are seats. I mean, I know that in restaurants, they have placement. And in some of the bigger restaurants, maybe back east, but they have specific placement. Especially if it's like a hopping restaurant, they kind of put certain people in the front. So it appears a certain way.
Right. So it attracts more business and things like that.
Yes. So I know that that's a thing. I don't know if it's a thing out here in the West necessarily. Yeah, I think you should speak up. It's kind of like sending your food back if you don't feel like it's up to par, but you should do it. It's something that I am not very good at. I'll just say that right now. I'm pretty terrible about it. But Lee has asked for a different table for one reason or the other. If he knows that I'm not feeling so great and we just want to be kind of in a dark corner, like quieter, in a quieter spot. Or we have been placed a time or two really close to the entrance of the wait staff's door.
Yeah.
And that is not, I don't know if you guys know, that is not a comfortable place to be sitting. No. There's usually a draft.
There's a draft. There's people running by you in a rush.
Yeah. It's not great. I don't particularly love it. So
you could get food dropped on you.
You could. I mean, so I think you should speak up. I think she's okay to speak up. Mm-hmm. And if you know that that's her thing, then
find out why it's her thing.
Yeah.
And that's going to ease your frustration and any embarrassment. I don't think it's anything to be embarrassed about.
Yeah.
I know that I'm not the only one when I go to a restaurant that does that. I've seen it before.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm saying it because I do it, but I don't think it's necessarily weird. I mean, I have actually seen other people do it. I mean, there's considerations to take that you need to have for people with children and stuff like that.
Yes.
The main aisle of a restaurant isn't really a place where you want to seat your small children in a high chair necessarily.
Yes, that traffic flow is a little trickier. Now, I will say this though. I think that if she's going to be picky, she probably should know that there's a good chance that even if it's not the type of table she wants or booth, then she may have to wait longer.
Yeah, that's always something to take into account and be okay with. And if you're not okay with it, then have a backup plan.
Yeah, because if you're like, that took 30 minutes just to get the one table that you didn't like.
Right.
How long is it going to take to get to the table that you feel is okay for your taste, I guess. So,
and that depends on the turnover at the restaurant.
Yeah.
If it's a busy weekend night, that might be a while.
Yeah. Yes. I think what you said though, Sharon, was really good, is try to get the bottom of why she's asking to switch so much.
Yeah.
And if there is a reason, then you can help each other out. Like, oh, I know that's not going to work. She doesn't want to sit next to the window.
Yeah, get on the same
because it's freezing
page.
Or whatever.
Or if she's just afraid that she's a sudden germaphobe, carry some Lysol wipes with you and
help out the situation.
Help a girl out.
Yeah. Yeah, there's all sorts of reasons. So maybe just get to the bottom of that. And it's okay. It's okay to ask for a new table, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta get better at that.
Yeah.
I make Lee do it.
Thanks for joining us today for our show. You can find us on hungrysquared.com, on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play Music.
Hey, you guys, we have really enjoyed hanging out with you on Instagram recently. We've had some really awesome guests, and we are super excited for new guests that are going to be coming up. We know that you enjoy when we do interviews of people that are professionals in their area. So if you haven't shared our podcast, share it with your friends and family. 'Cause like I said, we're going to be doing some fun stuff in the coming months with some really, really cool people. So join us next week for our next episode of Food Nerdery.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.
Hungry squared, yeah, hungry squared.